I'm going to do a full walkthrough of the social media automation, which is 100% automated. What does that mean? This system is going to use Deepseek AI together with Make.com, which is going to fully automate your video content creation process and publish it to social media platforms for you. So in summary, this automation is going to, in real time, do research on what to write about. It'll then write a script for a video. It'll then actually generate that video with subtitles and a voiceover. And it will then go ahead and actually publish it onto the different social media platforms, which is Facebook videos, YouTube Shorts, LinkedIn videos, Instagram Reels, as well as TikTok videos. So the fact that this is 100% automated means that you can set up the system and it'll automatically generate thousands of videos and post it across hundreds of different social media accounts where you can actually then collect ad revenue or send leads into your funnels for your business or whatever the case is. So that's what I'm going to be showing you in today's video. It's a technical walkthrough step by step through each of the modules, how I set it all up, so you can go ahead and set it up yourself. If you do want to just copy paste this, you can head to futurize.com. You can get started, create an account, and inside our AI Automation Academy community, I will include the blueprint where you can just simply click this more button, import blueprint, choose the file, you can select the file and then click open, and it'll then import this entire automation for you so you don't need to set it up step by step. Inside my Futurize community, I do include a course where I show you how to set up each of these modules completely from scratch. By the end of that course, not only would you have built this 100% automated content generation system, but you'll also have learned all the technical skills to use Make.com and to build AI automations with Deepseek. So the way that I've set this up, you don't need to manually come and click run once. It'll just automatically run. You can go along with your day, and in the background, whenever a new piece of content is posted on the internet, it'll scrape that article, evaluate it, generate the video, and publish it. So just for this demo, I'm just going to manually trigger a run. So I'll click run. After running it manually, let's go check out the videos so we can see.
Ever wondered how much AI and automation could slash carbon emissions in buildings? The numbers might surprise you. Imagine this. A typical office building emits around 2 megatons of CO2 per square meter.
All right, so I'm not going to watch the whole thing, but let's just go make sure it's posted on all the platforms. If I refresh YouTube, there's the new video. LinkedIn, let's refresh. There it is, Schneider Electric, Assist AI Nobility. It's quite cool. Instagram. There you go. And TikTok, let's refresh. Oh no, that's not it. I think it still needs to post. I know TikTok does take a little bit longer because we use a workaround to post to TikTok, but in a few minutes, it should be available here. Great. So now I'm going to go through each module step by step, and I will show you exactly how we configured each of these modules. So the first module that gets run is this RSS module. So if you right click and say add new module and you search RSS, you can see there's two watch and retrieve RSS. So RSS stands for really simple syndication. And what it is, it's an easy way to retrieve real-time updates from websites that you care about. So basically in this case, we are going to be using Google News. Every time there's a new article posted to Google News, we are going to pull that article, scrape it, and then create a video based on that new article. So the module you want to use for that is this watch RSS feed items, and that will trigger basically as soon as the new article's posted on Google. So you'll see as input, it takes two items. The one is the link to a valid RSS, okay? And if I show you what this actually looks like, if I copy paste this, you will see it's basically a list of these news articles, descriptions, and this is the part we're interested in, which is the link to that article. In order to generate that RSS link, you want to go to rss.app. I do include an affiliate link in the description if you want to support this channel. Then what you want to do is you want to create an account and then go to my feeds. All right, so you can see I've got a few feeds already set up here, but I'm going to show you how you would set it up from scratch. So you want to click on new feed, and what you want to do then is you want to enter a topic over here. So that's how I do it. You can also scroll down and you can choose which feed you want to use. You can, for example, every time a video is added to a certain YouTube channel, you can create a YouTube feed. You can create a LinkedIn feed. You can use the Instagram feed, etc. So you can see if you scroll down, there's a lot of options. There's CNN feeds, there's Medium feeds. So you can kind of just look through here and choose what you think would work best for your needs. niche. But in my case, I'm just going to use Google News. And if you just type in a topic, it uses that by default. So I'm going to type in AI automation. I'll then click generate. And you'll see it then generates the newsfeed. So you can see this is the video we just created, Schneider Electric Sustainability. If you want to use the paid features, they give you some pretty cool filters you can use. One thing that I recommend you always enable is this auto cleaner. And what the auto cleaner does is it will remove any branding from the titles of the blog posts. So for example, over here, Sequoia brings blah, blah, blah. And then here it's got Finovate as part of the title. So you can see it automatically remove that. If you scroll down, you might see another example. There's another one, Florida Newswire. It removes that. And that's because sometimes we're going to be using this title inside the title of our YouTube Shorts video. So we don't want to have that branding in the title. The other feature that is pretty cool is this whitelisting. And what that allows you to do is it allows you to only return the listings based on either a keyword in the title or description or the link. So I'll show you what it works like for the link. So if I click this link, and let's say we only wanted to return FloridaNewsWire.com. I'm going to copy this and I'll paste this in there and I'll click add. And now it should remove all the other options. So you can see all of these are grayed out. It's kind of hard to see, but if we scroll down, you can see this one. You can see that title's in black and it hasn't been removed. And that's because this is the one from Florida Newswire. Then let's say we also wanted smestreet.in. We can add that one. You can see this one's now also enabled. All right, you can also blacklist domains. So if you don't ever want it to show a certain domain, you can add it here. But there is limitations with this whitelisting. I'm currently on the free trial of the basic plan. So you can see here on the basic plan, it gives you access to add up to 20 whitelisted keywords. And then on the developer and pro plans, you can add up to 50 whitelist keywords or 200 whitelist keywords. All right. And you can see you can also enable filters. If you come to the free plan, as you can see here, when my trial runs out, I won't have access to the filters. Okay. And I can only have 2 RSS feeds. I only need one, so that's not a problem. So this is the only feature that I would need. And that would be a reason why I would upgrade to the paid plan. All right. So then all you need to do is come here, click copy, come here, paste in that URL. And then for the maximum number of returned items, you want to set that to 1. We're only ever going to be processing 1 article at a time. So we don't need this to be any higher. And we can then click save. Just as a note, if you want to set this up for your production environment, you just right click, say choose where to start, and then you want to make sure from now on is selected. And that means from now on, whenever a new article is published on Google News, it will then trigger this automation. Another thing that you need to have enabled is you want to click on this little clock, all right, and you want to make sure that at regular intervals is selected. And you can basically choose any amount of minutes here. So I have it set to 60 minutes. So every hour it basically runs. So in order for this to actually trigger, you just need to make sure that this is enabled. Next, we want to scrape the article from that URL. So if we come here to the output, here is the URL. Okay, so I'm just going to copy paste this so you can see what that looks like. And we have Schneider Electric, and you can see there's a whole bunch of text on this page, right? There's text on the right here, there's text in the header, there's ads, there's all this extra text at the bottom. So if you were to scrape the whole web page, it's going to include all this extra HTML and all this extra text that's not necessarily what we're interested in, because we only want to analyze the article itself, all right? And I found a really cool API, and it's really affordable. It's called URL to text. It's basically the cheapest and easiest way to extract only the article from a blog post. I will include a link to it in the description, but basically what you want to do is you want to come, after you create an account, you want to go to API key, and you basically want to copy this API key that it generates for you over here. Let me just show you how the pricing works. So if I come to dashboard, you can see that they give you $1 in free credits. And you can see after running this 112 times, basically 112 articles have been scraped. It only cost me about 3.2 or 32 cents. So that's not bad at all. So you can see the pricing per request over here, all right? So it's $0.00015 per request. So I know they do have a paid plan, which is about $20 a month, if I'm not mistaken, but I mean, you can always just go and create a new account on URL to text and get a new $1 and generate a new API key, because I feel like this would last quite long. So to use the URL to text API, you want to add in an HTTP module. So if you right click, go to HTTP, then you want to use this make a request module. Okay. And let me show you how I set that up. So this is the endpoint. Okay. It's the URL to text endpoint. You want to use a post method and then 2 header tags, authorization and content type. Here is where I added my API key that I copied from over here. Then remember to keep your API key a secret. You don't want to share that with anyone. In the body type, you want to set that to raw, set the content type to JSON. And then in the request content, you want to paste in this, all right? You want to set the output format to text, extract main content to true, render JavaScript to true, and residential proxy to true. And then here under the URL, this is where we enter our dynamic value, which is the link that was generated as the output of this module over here. So if I come to download output bundles, you can see we have the URL over there. Okay. And we also have that same URL over here, which is the one I'm using, the link over there. All right, they're both exactly the same, so you can use any of them. And the way you'd enter that dynamic value is you'd simply just click in here and then you would select it just like that. Or in my case, by clicking link. All right. You also want to make sure parse response is set to yes, so that we're able to extract the actual article. And when this runs, you'll see the output would be just the article as you can see over there. So can digitization and AI help us decarbonize? So it starts from there. Let's go see where that is in our article. So you can see it started scraping it from over there. All right. And it excluded all this unnecessary fluff before it, like the date, the share button, etc. What it does is it sometimes like breaks up this text into like new lines, as you can see there. And that's kind of annoying because it'll make it a little bit more difficult for the AI to interpret what it's all saying. So what I do next is basically I get rid of all these line breaks. And the way we do that is by replacing new lines with spaces. Before we get into that, I'm just going to briefly mention what I did over here. And what I did here is I added a break module. I just renamed it to retry twice if error. And basically I set the automatically complete execution to yes. And then number of attempts is true, which means it'll retry this if it runs into an error twice. And it waits 1 minute between each error. So the reason I added this is because sometimes this API would run into an error for some unknown reason. So I realized adding this retry mechanism fixed that issue. Back to our replace new lines with spaces. So if we come here, you can see I used a set variable module. So to use that, you can just search set variable and you want to use this one over here. Okay. And what I did here is I used the replace function. So you enter your body of text, in this case, hello world, then what you want to replace, in this case, hello, and what you want to replace it with, in this case, hi. And you can see if this gets run, it would replace the word hello with hi, and then the response would be hi world. Right. So in our case, we have provided the data content, which is the actual article that was scraped. And what we want to replace is a new line, and replace it with is a space. That'll basically get rid of all the line breaks and just return one paragraph of text. If you're wondering how I got this space over there, if you click and you go to A for text and binary functions, under the keywords, you can see there is space and there is new line. So you just need to click it and it adds it in. Great. So once we now have one body of text in the article, we can then count the amount of words inside of that article. And there's two main reasons for this. Reason number one is our API didn't scrape the full article for whatever reason. Sometimes it doesn't work reliably. Most of the time it works just fine, but there is a case where the way the people created the website you're scraping from they didn't kind of structure it correctly, and then it doesn't know which are the body tags, which are the header tags, and it doesn't know how to actually scrape it correctly. The other reason is if an article's too short, I'm assuming it doesn't contain that much valuable information, but in general, I would recommend setting this number to 600. And basically what it does is it'll check if the article word count is greater than 600. And the way we get the word count is by using another set variable module. I created the variable name called article word count, and then I used this expression. So this will count the number of words inside of the final article. And the way it does that is we use the split function, and we split every single word by the space. So wherever there's a space inside of that paragraph, it splits it and it creates an array, a comma-separated array of every single word in that final article. And then we use the length function to count the amount of items in that array. The length function can be used to count the number of characters in a string or the amount of items in an array. So in our case, we're counting the amount of items in the array. And then the output of this, if we look here, we can see the article word count is 1,136. Okay. And the reason it ran through here is because we added a filter on this. 1,136 is higher than this number 300, and so it moved through. If the number was less than 300, it would then not pass through and it wouldn't run this Deepseek module over here. So that's basically the first quality check. The second quality check is to check, does the article actually contain valuable information? All right. So this is where you would usually use a human in the loop to go and evaluate the article and then either approve or disapprove that article to be processed. In our case, we can just use AI. And this is where I use the Deepseek module. All right. So you can just right click add module, search Deepseek. Make sure you use the verified one. All right. It's Deepseek AI. Don't use the community one. If you come here, you can then use create a chat completion module. Okay. And then you can set up all the parameters. You can see this is how I set it up. First thing you want to do is you want to create a connection, and you do that by adding your Deepseek API key. So if you don't have one, you're going to have to go create one. Then you come click add and you paste in your API key over there. The place you'd get this is you would go to deepseek.com, and then you want to click API platform, top right hand corner. And I know Deepseek has been having issues the past few days because they're going viral around the world right now. I think they are busy with a lot of maintenance. So I don't really have access to actually show you how to set this up. Every time I come here, it just seems to be freezing and stuff. So I don't think this is going to work. But anyway, if you do want to see how to set up your API key for Deepseek, you can go to my community, the first link in the description below. And in there, I'll have a course where I'll show you how to set this up, as well as where we build out this entire automation from scratch. Once you've added your connection, you then want to create a system message. So select the role to be system. And then this is where you put in your main prompt. All right. So you can see I provide a role. Your role is to use the article quality scorecard below to score the provided article out of 100. So the provided article is down here in the content of this user role. So I created a user. I said, this is the article to score. And then I entered in the final article that was generated in the previous step over here. Then you can see the scorecard. I provide the amount of points and the different scoring criteria like accuracy and factual support, depth and analysis, innovation and insight, organization, writing quality, etc. And then it generates a score, and it then responds in a JSON dictionary with both the score and the comment, where the score is an integer whole number score, and then the comment would be the comments: outstanding, excellent, good, adequate, etc. Right, we don't actually use these. That's just more for the AI's understanding, but we do use the score that gets entered here. And note how I didn't put any double quotes over here, and that's because we wanted to return an integer, not a string. And that's because we're going to use that number to actually perform operations on to do a check if that score is higher than a certain amount or not. So I'll show you that in the next step, but I also give an example of what the response should look like. For example, the score is 61, then the comment would be adequate. If I scroll down, see we can choose from two models. You can either choose the Deepseek reasoner model or the Deepseek chat model. So the reasoner is the smarter of the two, and that's because it does reasoning and it thinks about the answer in the background before it actually gives the answer to you. So for a prompt like this, we wanted to actually really evaluate the article and score it based on these criteria. So giving it time to think returns a more accurate score than using the chat model. The chat model is cheaper than the reasoner because it uses less tokens. And I do show you how we use the chat model in a later module. Then over here, we can set the maximum amount of tokens. So that's basically the total amount of completion tokens. So if we come to the documentation, we come to the reasoning model, we can see max tokens is the maximum length of the final response after chain of thought output is completed. All right, so the default is 4,000 tokens with a maximum of 8,000. So basically what that is referring to is the total amount of tokens in our response. So we know our response is always going to be very short over here. That's probably only about like 20 or 30 tokens. So it's not actually a lot. So we don't necessarily need to set this to 8,000. We could have just left it to something like 30 or 40 tokens. Then we set the temperature to 0.3. All right, so the higher the value, the more random the output would be. So it would be more of a creative response. When you use a lower number, it's more of a focused or deterministic response, which basically means if you set the temperature to 0 and you provide a prompt, the response would always be the exact same if you set the temperature to 0. Whereas if you increase that temperature value to 1, then the response will most likely always be different. What's also good is the lower the temperature value, the more strictly it usually follows your input prompts as well. So that's also something to note. Then for the response format, you can see you can either choose text or JSON object. So if you're using the reasoner model, it doesn't allow you to use structured outputs, which is the JSON output, but it does allow you to return a text of a JSON, which is basically what we did. So if we look at the response here, you can see the result is just a string that looks like a JSON, right? It's got the score, it's got the comment. And then what we need to do is we kind of need to convert this string into a actual JSON so that we can extract the actual score value. And we do that using the parse JSON module. So to get that, you click add module, you search parse JSON, and that's the module you'd be using. Once you connect it, you'd be able to configure the parameters. So if I click here, you can see what I did is I didn't even provide a data structure. All I did was provide the JSON string from the previous response, which is the choices message content. So if I come here, you can see under choices and then message content, there is our string JSON that we wanted to extract the score from. Note, it also gives us the reasoning content. So if you're curious, you can come read through this and you can see how it actually scored that specific article. So now if I click the output of this, we'll be able to see that the output is able to separate the score. There it is. It gave us a score of 75 and then the comment. We don't actually use the comment. We're only going to be using the score. And we use the score on the filter of this branch over here. So if I click here, we have the condition score is above 75. And then the condition is score, and then I use the numeric operator. So scroll down to numeric operations, and then you want to use greater than or equal to. And then over here is where you'd enter the number. So I changed it. Generally, this should be 75. I just changed it to 10 just so that when I run this, it actually works, because most of the times when it runs, it doesn't pass all these quality check filters. I just wanted to run it just once, just so that I can demo it to you. For production, I would come back and change this to 75. If it's below 75, it would just stop there and it wouldn't continue. But in our case, because it is above this value, which was 10, 75, which was by coincidence, that was the score 75, it's above 10. It then now moves on to our next module, where what we do here is I do a check to make sure that that article that I'm referencing isn't AI generated by the publisher of that website. All right. A lot of people don't know how to use AI properly, and they just use ChatGPT and it writes some article for them. And it's usually just garbage and it's not actually valuable content. So I use a AI detector API that is able to determine how much % of that article is AI generated. And if it's higher than a certain threshold, I exclude it completely, or I don't even process it and the process ends. Whereas if it is human generated, the process will continue. So the way I do this is I use an API by Rephrasy AI. So if I come here, Rephrasy AI, and you click on API solution, you can scroll down and you'll see they have an API for humanizing, which is pretty cool. What that does is it'll rewrite AI generated content so that it's undetectable to search engines and to AI detectors and plagiarism checkers. And it makes it undetectable that it was written by AI. So that's pretty cool. But what we're using is this detector API, all right? And it gives us an example here. And this is the endpoint. So it's detector.rephrasy, blah, blah, blah. And you can see it's a post call. So if I come here, there is our endpoint that I copy there. I select post. And then for the headers, we have an authorization header and a content type header. And then we have bearer space, and we enter your API key there. And then the content type is application JSON. So you can see I just copied that. Authorization, bearer, there's my API key. Make sure to include a space in between. Don't have a trailing space over there. And then for the other header, we have content type and application JSON. So set it up exactly like that. In your case, you want to use your API key. So to get your API key, you're going to have to create an account. Let me just log in. Cool. You can see I am currently on a paid plan. It's $21 a month and you get 200 credits or 210 credits or something like that. And then if you scroll down, that's where you can copy your API key and paste it in over there. I do include an affiliate link in the description of this video if you want to use Rephrasy. So if you do want to use Rephrasy's API, you would need a paid plan. I try to keep it as cheap as possible and use the free plans wherever possible. But I did want to include an AI checker, which will detect if the content's AI generated, because I thought that's quite important. If I scroll down here, you can see for the body. So this is the body that you want to copy. All right. It takes 2 parameters. Then the mode is just left as an empty string. So it's just left blank. And then it will return a overall score where 0 would mean it's human generated and 100 means it's AI generated. So if I come back here, here's my request content. Basically, you can see I got the structure there, the text and the mode. And then for the text, I'm doing a whole bunch of functions in here. Firstly, what I'm doing is I'm using the substring. And what the substring is doing is it's basically taking the entire final article. And if the article is longer than 14,900, it basically cuts it at the 14,900th character. And that's because this API, this Rephrasy API, doesn't allow an input of larger than 15,000 characters. So I just did 14,900 just to allow for a bit of room for error. And then I used a replace where I replaced any actual quote with a literal quote, right? And that's because we're using quotes over here, all right? These double quotes. So if a quote is included inside the actual article over here, this is going to run into an error. So you kind of want to make sure that doesn't happen by replace it with literal quotes. And then what I also do is I replace any new lines with any spaces. And that's also because in a JSON text request, it needs to be a single string, like a single long line. So I can show you what that actually looks like. So if you come here and you go to input bundles, that's basically what the request needs to look like. It's one long line, and any line breaks is replaced with like a \n for a line break. You don't need to worry about that for now. But basically, if we look at the response from this, when we come to scores, we can see on the overall, this responded 0.995. That's even less than 1. Okay. Remember, this value ranges between 0 and 100. There's only a 0.99 AI detection, which is basically nothing, right? It's less than 1. So that means this is human generated. Then I have a condition here, and this basically only allows to pass if the AI generated content is less than 10%. Right, so currently I have it set to 90 because remember I just allowed for some room for error, but generally I would keep this as 10 and then I click save. Then what I do is I add a sleep module. So if you go to add module, you search for sleep, you want to use that one. Okay, and I just set it to 60 seconds. And the reason for that is sometimes with these Deepseek API calls, there is some kind of, I think it's rate limiting, where it just doesn't return a response. I don't know if it's because they're currently doing maintenance at the time I'm making this video, but basically adding a delay between these Deepseek modules kind of prevents that issue. The next step is then we add in another Deepseek module, okay? And what this does, this is where it actually generates the script for the video that we are going to generate. So you can see I named it Generate Hook and Paragraph with Deepseek. If you want to know how to edit these names, you just right click and say rename and type it there. Okay, but this is just a normal Deepseek module. And then once again, I set a system prompt. This is the prompt I provide. Okay, I give it writing style instructions. I tell it its role, which is a social media AI automation specialist who specializes in writing posts. So that's the reason I say AI automation specialist is because usually the topic of the title has got to do with AI automation based on the RSS feed we generated earlier. Then if I scroll down here in the user prompt, you can see I provide the article and then there's the dynamic variable to the final article. Okay. The model I'm using here is Deepseek Chat. Okay. We could have also just used the reasoning model, but I just used the Deepseek Chat. You can experiment by trying ChatGPT or Claude or Anthropic. It's Claude 3.5 Sonnet model over here because that's also a very good model for writing. I'm not entirely happy with Deepseek's writing. It's not bad, but I think Claude is a little bit better. Maybe if I change this to the reasoning model, it would give us a better script. So when you're using the model, Deepseek Chat, then you can set the output to JSON objects. So whenever you can use structured outputs, you should. That's just best practice. And you can see at the bottom here, I provided it with instructions saying respond with a JSON dictionary, blah, blah, blah. And then I give the example of a hook and paragraph. And then I tell it that it must only be 200 words. And that's because we don't want the video to be so long. We only want it to be like a 1 or 2 minute video. Then once it's generated the hook and the paragraph, we then want to extract that hook and paragraph using the parse JSON. So we enter in our output. So if I come here and view the output, you can see it's got a string with the hook. And there's the hook. Ever wondered how much AI and automation, blah, blah, blah. And then the paragraph, there's the actual script that will be used in the actual video. So we pass that. We are now able to extract the hook and the paragraph to use them separately in later modules. I then add another sleep, 20-second over here, just because we're about to use another Deepseek module. And what we do here is we basically fragment that original Deepseek paragraph. So if I open this, you can see I say your role is to take a text input and break it up into 7 text fragments. And then I give an example JSON over here. So we have text fragment number 1, where the first text fragment is the hook, and then a search term. So what we do is I tell it over here, also generate a relevant search term for a video on the topic of each text fragment. This search term will be used to search the pixels.com site for a relevant video based on that text fragment. All right, so that's how we actually get the videos that play in the background of the video. So that comes over here. All right, this is where we use the Pixels API to actually go and, I think it's Pixels. I don't know if it's Pixels or Pixels. But anyway, if we look at the output response from this, we can see we have text fragment number 1, all right, and that's basically the first snippet of the video, and then it'll have a video in the background based on this search term, AI automation carbon emissions building. So if we look at our video, it basically chose
how much AI and automation.
It kind of chose this video of an AI playing chess. It's kind of random. It doesn't really fit so much. I guess that's just a limitation of relying fully on automation, but I guess it's because it detected the word AI automation, and then that's why I kind of used that. Something to do with carbon emissions would have been better. I guess I could always reprompt it to be more explicit on like the search terms to be something more relevant and visual based on that text fragment. But anyway, there's all the text fragments and all the search terms. Once again, we pass that so that we can extract each one individually. Okay. And now that we can access each search term and text fragment separately, we can then move on to actually getting the videos. So if you're not familiar with what Pexels is, where is it? This is it here. It's basically a website which gives you royalty-free stock photos and videos. So if I come here to videos, okay, I can then search for some free videos. So let's come back here and search that same term it generated over here, which was AI automation carbon emissions. So I'll show you exactly where it actually got that chess video from. So if I search this, okay, that's weird. I think it's because I need to apply a filter. Also, we only want to look at the vertical, the portrait ones. Okay, and there's that chess video. Okay, so we can see that we had got it. And let me show you exactly how we use the API in this case to extract that. So within the Pexels API documentation, it guides you on how to actually set this up. So the endpoint is api.pexels.com/videos/search. Okay. And if you want the documentation, you can just search Pexels API, and then you can click on documentations, and then under videos, search for videos. And there is the endpoint that we are using. So you can see it's a get query, and it takes in the search term, which is the query, in the orientation, which is optional. So I chose portrait because it's going to be short form portrait video content. So if I come back here, you can see there's the get method. There's our endpoint. Then the authorization, I added the header authorization and added in my API key. I'll show you where to get that in a moment. Then in the string query, I have query, and then I have the search term number 1, all right, which we got from the output of this parse JSON. And then the orientation I set to portrait. All right, I'm thinking now I might not actually want to limit this to portrait. And that's because the landscape videos actually seemed to be more relevant, right? So if I come here back to all orientations, these look more related to carbon emissions. Maybe not so much these robot dog videos, but these top 3 definitely are more relevant. So I might consider changing that to, or just removing this parameter completely. So what this will do is that will basically return, if I come here to the data, you can see it basically provides a whole bunch of different URLs, all right? I think it provides actually all of them. That's quite a lot. But anyway, what we then do is we then parse that. Once again, we use a parse JSON module so that we can extract the actual videos or the URLs. And then over here, I use a set variable module. And what I'm doing here is I'm basically taking the top 5 videos, because usually the top 5 are the most relevant to the keyword that was searched. Then I shuffle them and I choose a random one, and I only use that one in the video. I mean, what I could have done is I could have just chosen the first video, but sometimes the AI will generate a search term that's not unique, and then across all my videos I'm going to be having the same video content showing up. So for example, let's say the search term is something like AI automation, it's always going to use the same video, whereas if I shuffle it, it reduces the chance that I'm repeating videos. Great, so you can see then the output of this would be just a single video, and there is the URL. So if I copy that, here is that video. What I then do is then I repeat this process for the search term number 2, and then for search term number 3, etc. And it then gets the URL for all 7 videos for each of the 7 text fragments that we generated in this Deepseek module. I did say I was going to show you where to get this API key. So to get your API key, you want to go to pexels.com/API/key, and then you can copy the key. You may be required to create an app before you can generate the key, but just follow the on-screen instructions, and then you'll be able to copy your key, come here, and then paste it in to the value for your authorization header. The next step is we need to compile the video. So we have all the text fragments, we have all the videos or the stock footage. Then what we need to do is we kind of need to put them all together, and we then need to add a voiceover, we need to add subtitles, we need to add transitions between all the videos, and we do that using a software called Creatomate. All right, so there is another one called JSON to video, but I found Creatomate to be much better, and it's also cheaper, and you can generate more videos. Creatomate is this software over here, creatomate.com. You can just come here and create a new account, okay? And then what you want to do is you want to make sure you click these three dots, go to project settings, okay? And you then want to enable 11 Labs over here. 11 Labs is another software that we're going to be using for our text to speech. Let me show you 11 Labs. So that's over here, 11labs.io. Okay, so you want to go there and you want to create an account. I have included a link in the description to 11 Labs. It is an affiliate link, I believe. And then what you want to do is you want to come to your profile at the bottom and go to API keys, and then you can create a new API key. So click here, give it a name, and then you can copy the key. Just one thing to note, you're most likely going to need a paid plan to use 11 Labs because there is a limitation. So you can see there is a free trial, but it only gives you 10,000 credits, and that's how long? It's only 10 minutes of text to speech per month. So that's only about what, like 5 videos that you can have. So I signed up to the creator account. Yeah, I have the creator account, and I can generate 100 minutes of content. So that's what, that's about 50 videos if it's or maybe 100 videos if it's 1 minute per video. But if I do need to generate more content, I'll then just upgrade to the pro or the scale plan. Also, another really cool thing about 11 Labs is that you can use your own voice. So if you come to voices over here, you can click on add a new voice, click on professional voice clone. And I'm in the process of doing this, but basically make sure you read all these instructions, click start. Then you want to upload some high quality audio files of yourself speaking. I think it requires about 3 hours. That's optimal. You give yourself a description, add some labels, and then you create a professional voice. And then in Creatomate, you'll be able to actually choose your own voice as opposed to one of the standard voices provided by 11 Labs. All right. If you're wondering about pricing of the software, they do have a free version, but you can only create, I think like, they give you 50 credits. So you can see on the paid version, I have 2,000 credits. It's $50 per month, and they give you 2,000 credits. So that's about 600 videos per month, if like each video is 1 to 2 minutes long in high quality. With the 50 credits, it doesn't output a high quality video. I think it's like 320 pixels or something like that. So it's not an HD video. And that will use about 3 credits per video you generate. Whereas when you're using the paid version, because it's outputting an HD video, it's going to be using about 17 to, on average, about 20 credits per video that it generates. Okay, so you can see there's the resolution of the outputted videos. But you can see when I was using the free version, it only used 1 credit, but it was a very low resolution. Let me go show you how to actually generate these templates. So you want to go to templates, okay? And this is the one I'm using. But what you do is you click new, and then you want to go start from scratch. Then you want to make sure you choose with a vertical one, 9:16. All right, that's the aspect ratio for short form video content. And then click create template. Okay, and you can then give it a name. All right, so my first template. Then what you want to do is you want to add in an AI voiceover. All right, so there's the voiceover. This will be our 11 Labs. You can see the provider's 11 Labs on the right hand side there. You can also choose your voice over there. You can then click AI subtitles, and then you can use this upload file to upload a video, and then you can make the video dynamic. There is a few extra settings you'd have to change. So I'm just going to go to my template. Oh, wrong one. It's this one, short automation. So this is basically how you want to set it up. You want to make sure you create a group. You can just select these, click Control on your keyboard, right click, and then group, and then it'll create a composition. Okay, and then I also grouped, so I have 7 compositions, 1 for each text fragment and video. And then I also have a main composition. All right, so within your main composition, you also want to set these properties over here. So you started at 0 and the duration needs to be adjusted to the track. Within this, all right, if I double click this, you can see I've got all those compositions, and within each of these, you want to, this one starts at 0 and the duration is auto adjust to track. Then the second one starts at auto, which it needs to adjust to the track. So whenever this one ends, it needs to start this one. And then the duration must be adjusted to track. So basically, as long as this video is, that's how long it must be. So you can just go copy all of these settings. And then within each of these, you can go copy all of these settings. All right. Okay, you can just pause the video and just go copy those settings. All right, start at fixed. And then you can just continue with the pattern for the other 7 compositions. Okay, in terms of the properties for each of these, so for the subtitles, you can change how they look here. You can change the color. So it gives you a whole lot of options on how to actually format that. For the voiceover, make sure you have 11 labs selected. The model, make sure you use 11 multilingual V2. That's the best one at the moment from 11 labs. And then the voice, you can choose the voice from the drop down. I don't know why the first one's Matilda. That's supposed to be George. Let me just go change that back. You can choose any voice you like. If you had generated with your own voice, it should show up under these voices over here, which would be your custom voice. And then what you want to do is you want to make sure that this dynamic module is checked. All right, so for the voiceover, dynamic is checked, and that's where we're going to be inputting the text over here. So this was just me when I was building this out. I just used the static text, who let the chickens out, and I was using a chicken video. But you want to select this, and then you'll be able to pass in custom text snippet from make.com into Creator-Mate. And I'll show you how to do that in a moment. And then for the video, you also want to make sure dynamic is checked so that you can pass in a dynamic video instead of using a static video. I did also add some transitions over here so that it fades between the different videos. So basically it fades out and fades into the next one. It just gives it more of a professional look. Okay. But if I come back to make.com, what you want to do is you want to use the Creator-Mate module. So you just add module, search Creator-Mate module. There it is. And the module you want to use is the render a template. Okay. Once you've added that in, okay, you will also need to connect to it. So you need to click add and then put in your API key from Creator-Mate. So to get your API key, click these settings, go to project settings, and then here under API key, you can click to reveal, and then you can copy this, come back here, paste it in there, and then you will connect to your Creator-Mate account. Then you'd be able to choose your template ID from the drop down. There's the one we just created now, my first template, but this is the one I'm actually using, the short automation. And then here are all those fields. Remember when we selected the dynamic property for the text and the video? That's why it now allows us to add in a dynamic value for the first video and the first voiceover. So basically what you want to do is for the first voiceover, you want to add text fragment number 1. And we got that, remember, from the output over here, text fragment number 1. Okay, so that's what we entered over there. And then for the video, you want to use this static part of the URL, pixels.com/download/video/, and then you want to add the ID of the video. So remember here, the output of the video that it found, it gives us an ID. All right, it also gives us the URL, but we just want to reference the ID. And by doing that, it'll actually give us the actual video URL over there. So that's another format of the video URL without having the name inside it. So you then repeat that process for the second video, and the third video, and the fourth video, all the way down to the 7th video. Once this module runs, and we look at the output here, you will see that it generates this output URL, this MP4 file, and that is our actual video that it generated.
Ever wondered how much AI and
All right, and this is the URL we're going to be using later on. So some modules in make.com allow you to just enter the URL to reference a video, but others require the actual file, the actual downloaded video. And that's what we do in the next step. All right, so we use a get a file module. So if I come to add module, search HTTP, within here there's a get a file module which downloads a file from a given URL. So you want to use that module. And if we look at the properties here, all we do is pass in the URL from the creator mate. Note when you hover over this, it'll shimmer over the module that it's referencing. So that is the URL that we just outputted. Once we've done that, what I do is I like to back up that file in my Google Drive. So just so that I have somewhere that I can go to actually see all my videos, all right? Because I do pay for all these videos through all these APIs. So I don't want to just like lose those videos. Even though I am uploading them, I still want to have them stored somewhere. So I use a Google Drive module to upload a file. Then you just select my drive, you select the folder you want. So just go to Google Drive, create a new folder, and then select this HTTP get a file, which is referencing this module over here. And then you can click save, and it'll then automatically back up that video for you. So if you come to my Google Drive, here's my folder, AI generated shorts. You can see it backs up all the files. Even though they all have the same name, they are actually different. They are different videos. After that, I basically use another Google Drive module to get the link that I use later on for my Google Sheets. So the get a share link Google Drive module, what that does is you provide as input the file, and the file is the file ID, which is the output from this module over here. We look at the output here, there's the file ID, and that is the input into the get the link. So this will give us the link to this Google Drive file. So we have file ID, and then I just set the role to reader, which means you can't edit. And then the type is anyone can access it. If you want stricter permissions, you can choose one of these other ones, and then click save. The output of that would then be this share link. So later on, we're going to be setting up this Google Sheet where it adds a row. And within here, we're going to include the Google Drive link. All right, so once we've got that share link, we'll be able to store that in our Google Sheets that I'll show you later on in this video. The next step is we want to count the amount of characters in the title. And the reason for this is because some platforms like YouTube have a character limit in the title that you can add. They also have character limits for descriptions, but it's usually easier to hit the character limit in the title because it's much shorter. So that's what we do in this module over here. It's a set variable module. I just gave it a name, title character count. And then what you do is you use the length function and then the title value from the RSS. All right. Remember, if I scroll all the way down here, there's the title from our RSS feed. Make sure it's inside these brackets, and that will count the amount of characters inside that title. Then what we need to do is we need to make sure that that title is less than the character limit, which for YouTube, it's 100. So if I scroll out here, you're going to see we use a router. Okay, so if I right click, add module, there's one called router. Okay, what the router allows you to do is it allows you to run different processes in parallel. All right, so basically, if you run everything linearly and one of them break, the process breaks. Whereas if you're using a router, it can run multiple processes. And if one of them break, it doesn't affect the other one. And that's what we want. Because for some reason, maybe the YouTube module might fail, but then at least the video is still posted to Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and TikTok. Another thing that's important to note is when you're using a router, the way these run is it actually runs in order. As you can see how it's highlighting, it runs from first to last. So you can right click and order the routes, and you can basically drag and drop these to basically set the order in which you want them to run. The first one I want to run is renaming the title. So over here in the first branch, I have a condition. And on the condition, it only runs this if the title character count, which we just counted in this module over here, is greater than or equal to 100. Because remember, the character limit for YouTube is 100, so anything above 100 should be renamed. So what I then do is I use Deepseek to rename that title. So I provide a prompt with the original title, the context, blah, 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 And then the prompt is to rewrite the title to a new video title, which is less than 95 characters. And the reason I say 95 is because the AI might respond with, like, let's say I say 100, it might respond with 101 characters. And that's because AI language models aren't good at accurately outputting an amount of characters. So I just gave a buffer of about 5 characters. If I find this runs into errors and it's still generating titles longer than 95 or larger than 100, I will then change this to like 90 or 80 or something like that. Then you can see I tell it to return a JSON where there's just a single item, which is the new video title. Okay, and I highlight the importance of the title having to be less than 95 characters over there. All right. In the user message, I provide the video title as well as the video transcript just for additional context so that if it needs to rename the title completely, at least it's got the context of what the video is actually about. I'm using the Deepseek chat. I set the temperature to 1 just so that it's nice and creative. And once again, we're using JSON object because we want a structured output. Okay, you could also do text, but then it doesn't always guarantee the response would be JSON, although I did prompt it to try and do that all the time based on what I said over there. All right, once we've done that, we use a parse JSON once again to extract the video title. And then over here, we then use a set variable where we create a variable name, and this is quite important. We call this shortened video title. Okay, you can call that whatever you want. And then there is the new video title. Then in order to access this variable inside of these other branches over here, you have to use a get variable module. So I come here, add module, and I type in get variable. This is the module you want to use. And in the variable name, right, we would enter this variable name over here. So you can see here it is, the get variable. There's the shortened video title. You can see I basically use a get text in all of these branches, and I'll show you where I use that in a moment. You'll also notice I have a whole bunch of sleep modules. So I basically have 10 seconds between each branch, and that's just because of the rate limiting with the Deepseek modules. So I just give it some time to breathe in between each generation. Then we have this upload a video. So if I come to add a module and I search Facebook, and then upload a video, here it is. So that's the module I'm using, and that uploads a video to my Facebook page. All right. So to create a connection, you need to click add, and then you need to sign in with Facebook. And then once you signed in, you'll be able to choose your page. So here's my different Facebook pages that I have. So I have one with my own name and one with Futurize. So I select that one. The type, we want to upload a video. All right. Select the file. This HTTP getter file, that is referencing this getter file. For the description over here, what I did is I used a language model, or I used Deepseek to actually generate a custom description for that Facebook video. So if I open this up, once again, I have a role, your Facebook social media expert who specializes at writing descriptions about, and then that's the title. Give it all the instructions. Okay, I even tell it to comment AI, and I'll message you the invite link to join our free Futurize community. There's all the content, and then here's the user prompt, and the content is, here is the transcript of the Facebook video. Cool, the hook and the paragraph goes there. I use the Deepseek model, 1000 tokens, 0.3 temperature, response format, text. Then let me just show you if I come to the YouTube description. So for the title, I use the ifempty function. And what the ifempty function does is it returns value 1 if the value is not empty, otherwise it returns value 2. So you can see in this case, A, B, if A is not empty, it returns that one. Else it returns B. So if it's unknown or if it's an empty string, it returns B. So in our case, we have the shortened video title that we generated over here, but sometimes it doesn't need to be shortened because it's short enough already. So if it is shortened, it uses the shortened video title, else it uses the original title. And then at least we know this time, every single time it'll always be less than 100 characters. The file, we select our getter file, and then you can choose your category of the videos. So if you have a YouTube channel, you'll be familiar with this. You can choose the category that your video falls under, so it makes it easier for the algorithm to categorize your content. And then Over here, you can either post it so it immediately goes public, or you can set it to unlisted or private, where you can then go later and upload it or make it public based on if you approve it or not. But because I'm building a fully automated system here, I set it to public so that it's automatically published. All right. Then I added a description over here. Similar concept with 2if empties. I enter the description. If there's no description, it uses the shortened title. If there's no shortened title, it uses the actual title. Originally, when you created YouTube Shorts, you kind of had to tell YouTube with hashtag shorts that should be a short video and not just a normal video. But I think based on the aspect ratio, it's smart enough to detect if it should be a short or an actual video. Because if you go to your YouTube channel and you go to YouTube Studio, you'll notice that there's two separate sections for videos and shorts. So here's shorts, so you can see it added them all over here. All right, so this is a brand new channel. That's why there's no views or anything. Actually, all my social medias, even on my Instagram, it's brand new. TikTok's brand new. So we'll see how this is going to actually work. Back here, next we have LinkedIn. All right, so this publishes a LinkedIn video. Once again, you set the title and the content, visibility to public. All right. Our Instagram Reels, once again, okay, so this part's a little bit tricky, okay? In order to set up your Instagram Reel, you have to sign in with Facebook, okay? So you click add, then when you click add, it's going to give you the option to sign in with your Facebook account. And what you have to do is within your Facebook account, you have to go to your settings.
And could slash carbon emissions.
You want to go to settings and privacy, go to settings. And then you want to scroll to linked accounts, and then you want to basically link your Instagram. So you click here. So you can see I've already connected my @JoinFuturize Instagram account. For you, you're going to have to link it. Basically just sign in with your Instagram through your Facebook. And then once you've done that, it will be accessible in this page dropdown. Otherwise, you won't be able to access it over here. Also, another thing, I think it only applies to Instagram business accounts. I don't think personal account would be able to be linked. It has to be a business account. So you'd have to just, in your Instagram settings, you just need to go and change the settings to be a business account. The same applies to TikTok as well. It needs to be either creator or a business TikTok account. Anyway, video URL. So you can see the Instagram module doesn't require or doesn't take as input the actual file. It takes as input the URL. So there we pass in the URL coming from this module over here. Lastly, we post to TikTok. So you'll notice that this isn't a TikTok module, and that's because there isn't any upload to TikTok modules in make.com. So you'll see here, if you go through all of these, there's nothing here that allows you to upload a video to TikTok. So we are actually using a workaround where what we do is we add a sheet, we add a new row to a Google Sheet. That then triggers a Zapier automation. And then within Zapier, it then triggers an action to a software called Buffer. And within Buffer, they allow you to schedule and automate an upload to a TikTok account via the API. All right, so it is quite complex, but at least with this system, you will be able to upload to TikTok. So it's not actually too complicated, but I'll briefly walk you through it. Basically, you want to use an add a row module in Make. So if I come here, search Sheets, then you want to search for the one which says add a row. Okay, and that'll add a new row to the bottom of a Google Sheet. Then within here, you just want to make sure you sign into your Google account. Okay, I signed into my Leon@Futurize one. Then you want to select your drive, select your spreadsheet, select your video sheet, and that in my case it was this one over here, post to TikTok. Okay, then this property is asking, does your table contain headers? This is a header over there. So if you do include headers, you want to set that to yes, otherwise set it to no. So in my case, it's yes. This is where we add in all the actual data. So I add in the date. Okay, so I just format the date just so it's easier to read. This is just for completeness. You don't actually need to add the date. What is required is the actual URL. So that's what I add there. I also include the description we generated in the previous step for TikTok. I also include the share link. Remember, we generated that share link for Google Drive. So that's just for my own reference. I also then add in the description, the share link, the title, and the shortened video title. So basically this is what the result would look like. The date, the URL, the description, the Google Drive link, the title, and if there is a shortened video title, it would come into that cell over there. Okay, now what we need to do is within Zapier, we need to create a new Zap when a new row is added to the sheet. So if you don't have a Zapier account, you want to go to zapier.com, create an account. I'll include a link in the description for Zapier. And then you want to click this create button to create a new Zap. All right, you will be able to use the free version for this. There it is, tasks, 100 tasks. So basically, it should allow you to run this, I think, 100 times. I think, unless a trigger counts as a task, I don't think so. So probably 100 times. And then I created this Zap over here called post TikTok video make trigger. Okay. And for the trigger, you want to connect Google Sheets. All right, you can just follow how I set it up here. So you want to select your spreadsheet, the actual worksheets within that spreadsheet, and then the trigger column. So you can choose any column. I chose the video URL, which basically means whenever there's a new video URL over here, it triggers this Zap to run. Okay. Then for the actual task that gets run, we want to use the buffer task. So you can just search for buffer and select the add to queue. All right. And buffer's another software. You can come to pricing over here. So there is a free plan, but you can only have 10 scheduled posts. So basically I'm going to have to upgrade to a paid plan over here. So yeah, you might need to do that as well. Also, you'll only be able to post 10 TikTok videos a month. At least it's not too expensive. The monthly plan is $6 per month. Okay. And to have a fully automated TikTok account, that's quite worth it in my opinion. You want to basically sign in with your buffer account. The event you want to add is add to queue. Okay. And then for organization, there'll only be one option, which would be my organization. Make sure you select that one. Then you need to connect your channel. Okay. So within buffer, if I log in, you'll need to create an account, but because I've already got an account, it's taking me into the buffer dashboard. Then you can see I've connected my channel here. You can also go to manage channels, bottom left. Over here is where you can connect a channel. So here's my join futurized TikTok account. Remember, it has to be either a business or creator account for this to work. I'm going to click add a new channel, and then here's TikTok. All right, there's also other options if you want to post to other softwares, but TikTok's over there. Once you've connected it, the next thing you want to do is once you've selected the channel, you want to add in the description. And then for the actual video, we can enter the video URL into that field there. Then you can also set the method to schedule. And then for the schedule date and time, you can literally just write in plain English in 2 minutes, and it'll be able to interpret that to schedule the posting in 2 minutes. So remember earlier when we ran this, the TikTok video didn't show immediately, and that's because there's that 2-minute delay within buffer. Once you've done that, you just want to make sure you turn your Zap on. All right, you can see mine's toggled on over here, and then it should be successfully connected to automatically post to TikTok from your make workflow. Final thoughts, just remember in your RSS, you want to right click, choose where to start, make sure from now on is selected, and then just make sure that this trigger is set up to anything on a regular interval. As a reminder, if you do want to download this make automation, you can simply join my free futurized community in the comments, and I will include the file where you can come here and import the blueprints. So the blueprint will be included, as well as a much more detailed course of setting all of this up from scratch. I do also have another video where I fully automate blog posting. So if you want to watch that video, you can check out the video showing on the screen right now. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please do subscribe, comment, like the video, all that good stuff. And I will see you in the next video.